What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video on this Monday morning. I'm not feeling any better today. I don't know if you guys are. Not usually. Sometimes you go to sleep and you're like, all right, maybe see how we're feeling in the morning, but not feeling any better. Still just, I don't know, the feeling of numb. It's bad. It's really bad. But normally on Monday, my first video of the day, I come on and I talk to you about, or we evaluate the quarterback performance. There's no reason to evaluate the quarterback performance against the Buffalo Bills. None. They both stunk. Zach Wilson stunk. He went 7 of 15, 81 yards, 5.4 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, an awful pick, 5 sacks, a 57.9 rating. Tim Boyle went 7 of 14, 33 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. 26.5 rating. We all know, we know the story. Neither one of those quarterbacks are good. They both are very bad. The offensive line's not good. The play caller is not good. They don't really have a lot outside of Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, and Tyler Conklin really wasn't that involved. And they supposedly were going to make all these changes to the personnel on the offense, and none of it seemed to matter. Like all those things, the frustration is totally valid. Instead, what we're going to do with this video is talk about who the New York Jets should start on Friday against the Miami Dolphins. Who should be the Jets starting quarterback going forward? You have 3 options on the roster, and not any of them you feel like it gives you a whole lot of confidence, but let's talk about those 3. All right, so we'll start with Zach Wilson, who was QB2 for this team before Aaron Rodgers goes down, gets launched up into the starting role again in 2023. So far in now 10 games, has 6 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 5 fumbles lost, so 12 total turnovers, a 73.8 rating on the season, and 6.1 yards per attempt. He's now got 10 starts, and if you look at his starts in his first year and his second year, his numbers are very comparable to those first 2 years. And the annoying thing, right, is you talk about the growth that we've seen from Zach Wilson in year 3. And there has been some growth. He has gotten better in some areas. And then you look at the numbers and it's not showing in the box score or in the touchdown department, which is the most important part here. The Jets have now played 10 games this year, and they have 9 touchdowns in 10 games. It's not enough. It's not enough. So Zach Wilson's an option. I don't think Tim Boyle. I never thought Tim Boyle was a realistic option. Going back until when they signed Tim Boyle.
Hopefully you don't have to see Tim Boyle, because when he played, he wasn't really that good.
My reaction to when the Jets signed Tim Boyle was, this is a practice squad caliber quarterback. And I thought the Jets were unserious carrying him as their QB2 once Rodgers went down, which is what I'm going to put a pin in that for a second, but I want to do that at the end. The thoughts on how the Jets handled this quarterback position and competition, if you will. We'll wait to the end to do that. We'll get through the options, but to answer your question, Tim Boyle, I never thought was a realistic option for the New York Jets to play. So Tim Boyle is out. And then there's Trevor Siemian, who I think the Jets, and I thought the Jets for a long time now, should have elevated him to be the second quarterback, because, again, I don't think Tim Boyle is a realistic option, and at least he's shown you something at this level. Even though he hasn't played a ton recently. He played 1 game in 2022, and it so happened to be against the New York Jets with the Chicago Bears. He was 14 of 25, so 56 completion percentage, 179 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, a 75.2 rating in that game. Not spectacular. It's about backup level quarterback play against a really good Jets defense, but in 2021 there was a 5-game stretch with the Saints where he played a lot of games. He started 4 of those. He came in relief in that first game, but in that 5-game stretch where he played a lot, 57.2 completion percentage, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks, 1,083 yards, which is 216.6 yards per game, and an 86 quarterback rating. Is Trevor Siemian coming in and saving your season? No, I don't think so. Is he a better option than Zach Wilson? Maybe. I don't think it's that crazy to be like, hey, we want to see something different, because that was basically my whole argument for why the Jets should have considered, benching Zach Wilson, a few weeks ago. It's because it's not necessarily that for a positive that someone like Trevor Siemian is going to be this big upgrade, and it's not all Zach Wilson's fault. Again, for everyone who loves to throw that one back at me, I said I don't know how many times that the offensive line isn't good. It's a bad offensive line, and the play caller is really bad, and that they have deficiencies at the wide receiver position, and and there are other things that are wrong with this team. I understand that, I get that, but at some point you have to change something up, because it feels like this team quit with Zach Wilson yesterday. They quit both sides of the ball. The defense in the second half of that game quit. They let up 2 touchdowns in that game. The 80-yard one where Sauce Gardner goes for a pick, he misses, then doesn't have a great tackle effort. Jordan Whitehead also did not have a great tackle effort on that play. They just looked like they quit, and it's hard to blame them. It's really, really hard to blame them when over their last 4 games, the offense has scored 13, 6, 12, and 6 points. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to talk about with this team, because that is such the big issue. And if you want to talk about like the little things, can they improve their tackling on defense? Yes. Can their run defense get better? Yes. That feels like a waste of breath to talk about, because this defense has carried them. The only reason they have 4 wins on the season is because of how good this defense is, and especially against the pass. The touchdown that they allowed, that big long touchdown, was the first touchdown they allowed to a wide receiver since week 1. This is a very, very good unit. It's really, really good. But there's on the verge of a mutiny going on right now because of just how bad they are in other areas, specifically on the offense. The offense is holding them back, and it goes back to the beginning with this. Yes, injuries, the offensive line, I understand that, but the Jets completely mishandling this quarterback situation didn't help anything. There's a reason why myself and many others were talking about this in March. Maybe they really do believe in Zach Wilson. Maybe they really do think like, hey, if there's an injury into our guy Rodgers and he goes down and Zach has to come in, maybe we'll take that step. I don't know. I think it's risky to put all your eggs in that basket right now. I think you probably should just redshirt him. When Robert Saleh came out and said that the New York Jets were going to have Zach Wilson as their QB2, I said that is incredibly risky. I said maybe they see something that we don't, maybe, but it feels like a massive, massive risk to have Zach Wilson as your quarterback too. Okay, well, they do it, and not with much competition. Tim Boyle as the most realistic competition for QB2. Great. Week 1, Aaron Rodgers goes down. Immediately start talking about quarterback again, not necessarily to pull the plug on Zach Wilson, but you needed to have another realistic option that you could go to because of what we saw from Zach Wilson in his first, 20 plus starts in the NFL. They don't. They wait. They eventually sign Trevor Siemian to their practice squad, which again is something. It's kind of similar to the Roger Saffold move where it's like, hey, we're going to do this thing to appease you, even though there were significantly other better options out there. I was like, all right, like, good, I guess. I'm glad they added somebody. There were other options. And then at the trade deadline, again, there was a third opportunity where Josh Dobbs goes for a 6th-round pick. Okay, fine. They weren't in on Josh Dobbs. Minnesota goes in and, goes in on Josh Dobbs. Fine. But then also, Jacoby Brissett was supposedly available for a day 3 pick, and they said no. And then, even more recently, after that, actually a 4th time, when Carson Wentz signed with the Rams, he called the Jets and was like, hey, like, You sure? Pretty much. And then he signs with the Rams. So there was really 4 times. And I'm not like Carson Wentz isn't saving the season. Like, I understand that the argument or the pushback that we're going to get back. And it's like, hey, like, are any of these guys going to save the season? I don't know, but they'll probably make the offense a little bit more competitive than what they're dealing with. And again, I know that there's other factors. The coordinator stinks. The line stinks. The wide receivers outside of Garrett Wilson stink. They're struggling to get the run game going. Like, all of these things are true, but I guess my answer is Trevor Siemian. This is a long, roundabout way of getting to Trevor Siemian as who the Jets should start in this game on Friday. But I don't think you can go back to Zach Wilson. Again, I don't think you can do it. For the sake of just, we need to do something different and hold the position accountable. Because this was the first time that they really did this year. Everything was fine up until this point. Zach looked good. You know, we're not seeing what they're seeing behind the scenes. And, you know, if you got to watch the All-22, or you have to play in the league, or whatever pushback, you know, these people want to put out there, which we're still getting. I don't understand how there are still people running to the defense of Zach Wilson after this game. And that's not to discredit the other things that are wrong about this offense. There are a lot of things wrong, but I think you just try something different, because it's also insane to continue to do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. So I guess my answer is Trevor Siemian, although I don't think that's a great option, but neither is going back to Zach Wilson. So there you go. That's who the Jets should start on Friday. Let me know who you think the Jets should start on Friday in the comments. I'm Matt. I'll catch you next time.